So I made a bad video about Madagascar last week, and it was okay. So the only obvious thing to do next is to put myself in more pain and watch the second Madagascar movie. And I don't know how I'm saying this right now, but Madagascar Escape to Africa is actually good. Now, Madagascar Escape to Africa was the first Madagascar movie I actually saw when I was younger, and I remember thinking it was only okay. But now, after comparing it with the other films in the trilogy, this one is definitely the best. First off, this movie has a plot. You really can't say that about the first Madagascar movie. The jokes are funnier, and the animation and action are actually pretty good. This movie also has emotional moments and a villain. Man, the first Madagascar movie seems like the boss baby when compared to this. To get this out of the way, this movie is extremely dumb. Random things just coincidentally happen in this movie for no reason at all. But on the other hand, it's really entertaining. I probably haven't been bored once while watching this film, unlike another film that I watched. So the movie starts out with a scene from when Alex was still in Africa. So this scene basically sets up the fact that Alex likes to dance instead of fight, which kind of disappoints Zuba, Alex's dad. So then the main villain of the movie shows up, Makunga, and he challenges Zuba to a fight. Makunga is like the comedic version of Scar in this movie, where he wants to take control of the pride. I thought he was fine as a villain. He doesn't really do anything that sinister, and he doesn't really have a big role in the second half after he takes the crown away from Zuba. But he could be a really funny villain, and he fitted the movie he was in. So while Zuba is finding Makunga, Alex gets captured by hunters and gets dropped into the ocean and eventually gets to the zoo. So it's present day, and Alex and everyone else is still in Madagascar. Fortunately, the penguins, who are still the best characters of the movie, fixed the plane so now they can leave Madagascar and go back to New York. Also, King Julian and Maurice go with them, even though they have no plot relevance in the story except for a running Mort gag. It's kind of weird how the franchise's name is Madagascar, but they leave Madagascar in the beginning of the second movie and never return for the rest of the movies. Because if a person sees the title of a movie that says Madagascar and they watch the movie and the characters aren't even in Madagascar once, they're gonna feel like they're getting ripped off. So anyways, to nobody's surprise, the plane crashes in this entertaining slapstick sequence that I thought was really fun. So the plane crashes into Africa, the title of the movie. So the penguins tries to fix the plane while Alex, Marty, Melman, and Gloria go exploring. They bump into a tourist van with the same old lady from the first Madagascar movie, who gets in a fight with Alex and eventually wins. So the main plot point about the tourists is that the penguins steal their van, so now they have to survive in the wild by themselves, and then create like a tribe led by the old lady, who's basically a war veteran. She literally gets smashed by a car and cracks her neck back into position, like she's immortal. Anyways, back to Alex and the group. There's this really great scene where Alex, Marty, Melman, and Gloria are on top of a hill, and they just see a view of Africa and all the animals there. The music is incredible, and the animation is just really good. This animation is a huge step up from the first film. Then the most emotional part of the movie happens, in my opinion. Alex finally reunites with his family. I mean, you can just see the utter shock and disbelief Alex's parents have on their faces when Alex shows his birthmark to them. This is just such a emotional and great scene. So now the movie is divided into different plot lines, so let's start with Alex's. So Alex is really happy to be back with his family, and he tells them about his experiences. Alex says that people call him the King of New York, so Zuba misunderstands him and thinks he actually conquered New York and can actually fight. So he basically puts Alex in a 1v1 against another lion, so he can prove himself to the pride or something. So the next morning, the event starts, and Makunga, who's in the movie now, tricks Alex into fighting this guy. Worst of all, Alex doesn't even know it's a fight. He thinks it's a freaking dance battle. So Alex gets absolutely decimated in the fight, and he has to get banished off the reserve by the Alpha Lion, aka Zuba. But Zuba can't banish his own son, so he quits being the Alpha Lion, and Makunga takes the throne and banishes Alex himself. So while this is happening, there are also a lot of different subplots happening at the same time. Marty is a character in this movie. Yeah, the movie doesn't really know what to do with him. He has this weird identity crisis because all the other zebras are identical to him, so he doesn't feel unique, I guess. On the other hand, Melman and Gloria actually have a major subplot. So Melman has feelings for Gloria, even though they didn't really hint at it in the first film. So Melman becomes the doctor for like the entire reserve, but the other giraffes tell him that he has like a witch doctor disease or something. So now Melman only has 2 days to live. Gloria doesn't know Melman has feelings for her, so he plans a date with. Oh no. Help, the memes, they hurt. So back to the penguins, they're actually making good progress on building the plane. They just stole jeeps from tourists and used them for parts. They also hired monkeys to build. I'm glad that the monkeys actually have some plot relevance to the story, unlike the first film. So Alex, Marty, Melman, and Gloria regroup together. Alex is obviously sad that he's banished from the reserve, and he had an argument with Zuba. Melman has 2 days until he dies, and he still hasn't told Gloria that he has feelings for her. Marty is mad at Alex since he mistaken him for another zebra, so now Marty's not talking with Alex either. King Julian, who I forgot was actually in the movie, has a pep talk with Melman about Gloria, and it worked, I guess, because now Melman is ready to tell Gloria about his feelings. Gloria is in the middle of a date with Moto, and it turns out he's a complete idiot. So Melman confronts him in front of Gloria and tells him that he needs to treat Gloria like a queen or something. So it's the next day, and suddenly there's no more water in the reserve. Like, it's a complete drought. This is such a weird coincidence just to make the plot move forward, but whatever. So Alex volunteers to find water outside the reserve, even though there's a high risk of hunters there. On the way, he stops by the zebras and tries to get Marty's attention. He makes like an apology speech about how much he cares about Marty, and he makes a nice callback to Marty being black with white stripes. Eventually, Marty comes out of the herd and goes with Alex to find the water. Back on the reserve, King Julian proposes a plan to sacrifice somebody and drop it in a frickin' volcano so the fire gods will just give them water. This plan is so dumb, but like everyone just goes along with it. Like nobody has any common sense in this scene at all. Melman is the one that actually volunteers to sacrifice himself, because he only has 1 day left to live. And he has this nice heart-to-heart with Gloria. So Alex and Marty actually find a dam with water, but before they could do anything, they get attacked by the tourists, who actually built an entire civilization while the story was unraveling. They capture Alex, but luckily Marty escapes. When Makunga tells Zuba that Alex has gone to the hunter's area, Zuba tries to find him. Meanwhile, back on the reserve, somehow, all the animals got inside the volcano, and Melman is about to sacrifice himself. Luckily, Gloria's the only person here with a brain, so she saves Melman. Gloria and Melman have an emotional moment, and turns out the witch doctor's disease doesn't even exist, so Melman wasn't even gonna die anyway. Marty somehow gets into the volcano and tells everyone that Alex got captured. So the tourists are trying to eat Alex, but Zuba comes and saves Alex before they can do it. There's this sequence where Alex and Zuba dances in front of the tourists to show that they're friendly. After the sequence is done, everyone claps except for the old lady because, she doesn't care, and she tries to shoot Alex and Zuba. Luckily, the penguins and everyone else rescues Alex and Zuba with the plane in this final battle. I thought this final battle was great. The action and slapstick is good. There are some good comedy aspects like the misunderstanding part with the monkeys. It was just super entertaining. So the plane hits the dam and the water flows back into the reserve. When Alex and the gang gets back to the reserve, he tricks Makunga into stealing the old lady's handbag. So then the old lady beats the heck out of Makunga and Zuba becomes the alpha lion once again. The movie ends with the penguins going back to New York and Alex, Marty, Melman, and Gloria deciding to stay behind in Africa. Okay, so that was Madagascar Escape to Africa. And to be honest, I actually liked it. The animation and action are a huge step up from the first film, the jokes are funnier, and there's actually a plot. I'm gonna give Madagascar Escape to Africa a 8 out of 10.